folks, today I have a special kind of video for you. I'm playing in a Kriegsspiel. Yes, that's right, the good old Kriegsspiel invented by the Prussian army to train officers. This one is hosted in the context of the Armchair Dragoons Digital Convention this weekend, which is 19th of June, and is umpired by a hand of umpires from the International Kriegsspiel Society. So the situation, or the scenario, so to say, is a hypothetical battle at Lynchburg during the American Civil War. I'm playing on the Union side. We will have 4 brigades here, but we will have no corps commander. That's an interesting twist to the scenario. There's no one in charge. We've lost our commanding officer the day before, or 2 days before. Our objective here is to take Lynchburg, which is kind of a hub again because of the railroads coming here together, and there should be a depot somewhere. I'm not sure if it's there or there. There's a railway depot there of strategic importance. Also, you can see those bridges where the railway goes, and this bridge with the road. So we'll see who's in command of which brigade. We don't know about that. I just marked the approximate location of the brigades as shown in the mission briefing, and we suspect 2 enemy brigades around Lynchburg defending the area, and most likely they will get some reinforcements, so we will see. Looking forward to this game. Hope you enjoy this special kind of video. Have fun.
Johnny comes marching home again, hurrah, hurrah. We'll give him a hearty welcome then, hurrah, hurrah. Oh, the men will cheer, the boys will shout, the ladies they will all turn out, and we'll all feel gay when Johnny comes marching home. And we'll all feel gay when Johnny comes marching home.
So that's the situation at the beginning of the game, the start of the game. We expect 2 Confederate brigades protecting Lynchburg. The other brigades are situated here. I'm not aware at the moment who's in command of which brigade. This is my brigade, 1st Brigade here at Epperson. Umpire told me there is some movement here. I've sent out the cavalry to scout ahead, and everybody else, whole brigade, moving forward slowly. So 6:15, I've now sent out a message to, I believe, 2nd Brigade that I want to capture these redoubts here, protecting the river crossing, and move forces into Lynchburg to flank the Confederate brigades. We have spotted here irregular troops in this redoubt. I'm pushing forward 1 regiment in line, 1 in attack column. They shall assault. The other troops will stay in reserve. So we've pushed back the Confederate cavalry from the redoubt. I've ordered 1st Regiment to get back into column. 1st and 2nd will continue pushing. The cavalry, which was located over here, gets back on the road behind them. 3rd Regiment is moving up behind them. 4th Regiment also, but from the redoubt moving to the right, so to say, along this trail and crossing here over the railroad bridge, and artillery is following the main body of the brigade. Haven't heard from my courier so far, so it might be somewhere. I have no idea. So things have changed a little bit. So we got the 1st Regiment changed back into line because the cavalry was holding them back. So we continue fighting the cavalry, pushing them. The whole force here of the brigade is continuing in column. I've received a message from Mark in command of 2nd brigade, they are fighting at this position here, where there are Confederate forces about a regiment, maybe. No, a brigade. He said, in contact with about a brigade. Oh, okay. Huh. Alright. But what we got here is that Hathwell, 3rd Brigade, isn't over here. He is behind Mark's 2nd Brigade, by the looks of things. So that's interesting. And the 4th Regiment didn't take the red road over here along the creek because of the traffic jam over here. It passed right over here, followed this path, and is now moving this way. I thought they could split our forces to blow up this bridge over here, but that's not the case, so they will continue their way and get in position about here where they can surveil like the creek valley here of Blackwater Creek. So that's the situation at 730. I got a message from Mark, 2nd Brigade. They are still fighting here. So I've sent one back, informed him about our progress, and that I will send 4th Regiment up this road here to make some noise and have a skirmish with Confederate troops here to maybe make them pull back forces and enable him to push through that road. And then 4th Regiment is going to fall back to this position. They have a courier with them. And meanwhile, the rest of the brigade keeps on pushing. 1st Regiment is going to be resupplied, so I probably should switch that to 3 supplies. And that's the situation. We have spotted enemy forces over here in defensive positions at Carlin's Hill, the outskirts of Lynchburg. We'll have to see how to deal with them. Maybe go up here. I mean, that was the plan overall, taking these redoubts here, securing the river crossing, and maybe we will push up this way. We will see how things go. We haven't heard from, or I haven't heard from 4th Brigade so far. Don't know if Mark or Nuno have as well. I've asked them, so let's see. So it's now 7:40. I assume 4th Regiment is about here right now. I don't know, because they are out of command range. They have the courier with them. I will move up here, start making some noise, have a little skirmish with Confederate troops if there are some, and then move back behind, fall back behind Blackwater Creek, and then the courier will report. Meanwhile, we keep on pushing. 1st Regiment, which resupplied, is supposed to get in column back on the road, follow up behind the troops. And we will probably want to bring the artillery into this position here, start bombarding. Okay, update. 800 on the clock. These guys down here with the 148th Pennsylvania, I guess, have sent the guy back that they they have spotted a Confederate unit marching down. That's interesting. So they will have their little skirmish there. And we're about at this position right now. The cavalry is here, like here. The enemy cavalry is retreating now back into Lynchburg. So I've ordered the cavalry to move up in the direction of Judge Daniel's quarters, followed by 1st Regiment, which was the last one here resupplying. It shall take the redoubts, and when it has, maybe blow up the bridge. We will see. 2nd Regiment, which did fight the cavalry all the time here, is due to resupply. 3rd Regiment holding here, the artillery taking the hill and starting a counter bombardment, so to say, on the enemy positions. Still, and I'm bit nervous about that, or concerned I should say. We have not heard from 4th Brigade. 2nd Brigade is now charging in, and 3rd Brigade seems to be stuck behind them or moving through the woods or something like that. So everything is developing slow here. We don't know what's happening here. Maybe they have issues. They are on their own there. Let's see. I hope this little maneuver here helps Mark and Nuno to break through. So there's a courier coming in. Bit late. It seems 2nd Brigade and 3rd Brigade are engaging the enemy here at Clay. They are involved in heavy fighting there, and Hathwell, that's a message from Hathwell over here, telling me to attack in the direction of fair ground. So I have no idea how that should be possible. We are also a bit too far away for that already. It's up to the 4th Regiment, which is the 148th Pennsylvania here, to help these guys out then. Here we are, 810. The cavalry has moved out of the way from this road over here. So it seems they shall probably support the Confederate Brigade falling back here to Fairgrounds, I believe. Meanwhile, the regiment that was moving into the direction here of my 4th Regiment is falling back. I've given them order to push on and pursue them, join the attack of 2nd and 3rd Brigade, send out a message to 3rd Brigade, which was calling for support, so to say, and support attack on Fairgrounds, which I cannot provide as I have moved up according to plan. The cavalry shall move up to Daniels Hill, scout ahead. 1st Regiment shall take the redoubts. We are having here some counter battery fire already, nothing too serious, and 2nd Regiment is still resupplying. So I guess these guys move up here. So 820, 2nd Regiment resupplied and in position. They are holding here. Counter artillery battery fire is still going on. We have taken the redoubts. 1st Regiment has taken them. The cavalry has advanced. So now I'm sending one supply train over here so that 1st Regiment can blow up the stone bridge and then try to sneak into Lynchburg and blow up this stone bridge over here as well. The other supply train is moving down here so that the 4th Regiment, after the attack, the assault on Clay, is successful and their support here is no longer needed, move back and destroy those 2 railway bridges, which was the idea earlier to do that, but the situation didn't allow for it. So now they shall do that and then join the forces. So I'm curious how fast that will go, but yeah.
6 hours later.
Oh my gosh, it was horrible. The big criticism here was this. The push to the center was slower than it had to be. It should have been more aggressive early on. There was a lot of deploying troops on broken ground all over here, which we applied penalties for that. Units moved very slowly. They easily became disorganized and disrupted. I think either a faster push up the center or maybe go around it in some fashion. You know, I don't know. I don't know how you get a better deal, though. The one problem I think, too, is we had 2 brigades. But what I think was brilliant was Hathwell's action saying, okay, well, I know the terrain is bad, but we got to bully through it anyway. So the 2 Union commanders worked together efficiently to force their way through, and ultimately that was effective and impactful. If they made a real mistake at all, it's that they kind of stopped here and just kind of hung out. They quit being aggressive. There was 1 or 2 turns where had particularly the player here in the north. And let's see, that was
Mark.
Mark. Yeah, had Mark been really aggressive and pushed, he would have made it through to Lynchburg. There's no way the Confederates would have held. They would have had to surrender. You only had like a one-turn window where that opportunity was really present, though. And that's also because you had to reorganize after going through a charge and all that, Mark. And you were going to pay that penalty because, you know, you had gone through broken terrain. You'd been fighting all this time. You did a bayonet charge, which was successful. But ultimately,
yeah.
you were going to take some time to reform, which you did, though. You paid that, and then you went right back in again. But it was effective, and it's not your fault. You really didn't have any way of knowing, hey, this is the one opportunity I have to strike and push hard. You know, but what could you have done? I think you did just about as well as you could. I think Hethwell's move through the woods was the best, smartest move of the whole game.
Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. You would say that. Yeah, no, it's great. Him pushing through. Again, he stopped here when had he pushed before these units came in here. He also could have pushed through to Lynchburg.
I got scared by the message. There's 8 regiments in front of you. Like, Jesus Christ, that's 2 brigades.
But they were not in very good shape. They were they were in disarray. So yeah, but your 2 artillery batteries in the center really fought hard, and there's a lot of counter battery fire. Both of you lost a couple of guns from your batteries. The Confederates did really well, though, holding this position. The reinforcements over here from Joe, absolutely timely.
Yes, I needed.
I think that was a good move.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Yep. And then, yeah, and I really do think that the center held against 2 brigades. One brigade held up 2 Union brigades for quite a long time, which I think is very praiseworthy. In the south, let's see, who is in the south here? The Union. Gabriel. I think you did fine, Gabriel. I really do. You ended up facing off against 2 brigades. There wasn't a whole lot you could do in the face of that, because those 2 brigades were fresh. You had no support. You were on your own. Despite that, you pushed right up into them as far as you could, and then wisely, you more or less backed away. You might have been able to stand and hold, but I think you did fine. I think you did the right thing, and ultimately they left. I don't know what your reaction to that was when you saw them turn around and retreat.
Well, yeah, where they were lined up along that gully, I was just hoping to pull them forward in the hopes that whatever was to my left was going to punch through to the east behind them. So if I figured if I could keep getting them to come towards me to the south and pull them out of alignment, that might, help an advance somewhere else. But once I got to that southern tip where you see my last regiment and they pulled back, I was like, there's nothing really more I can do with them at this point. So
that's very clever. Very clever. That's very praiseworthy. I think that was a smart move. For the Confederate commanders in the south, you also did really well. You had that 2-to-1 advantage, and you pushed it, which you should have done. You did correctly. Then
that was all Robin. That was all Robin. He did that.
Robin did well. And then when he saw, hey, my center is threatened, we're going back north. Now, both sides had some problems that I set for them, particularly in the area of command. Yeah. The Union lost their corps commander the night before, 2 nights before, so the Union did not have a commander among them to coordinate everything. And at no point did the Union say, we are going to recognize so-and-so as the senior commander and follow their orders. But they didn't have to. They coordinated sufficiently in the south, I think. I don't know if Mark and Hethwell actually coordinated their movement or if it was just, hey, this is just what we have to do, and they just both did it independently.
Actually, both John and Hethwell messaged me
basically saying, you're the senior person on the board per the briefing, and that's how we coordinated. I knew where Jan was, he knew where I was, I know where 3rd Brigade was, he knew where I was. The only gap in the information was 4th Brigade. I don't know how many times I sent messages, nothing got through. It wasn't until the end, when Hathwell got somebody through to him, that we found out what was going on. And at that point, that's when Hathwell said, okay, I've got to stay in these woods to protect our flank. And that's when I was going in with my entire brigade into a bayonet charge to try to push through and either swing them south and try to get my cavalry to go through or something. So
okay, then I would call that a pass for the Union. They solved their problem. How about the Confederates? I had the Confederate defenders in Lynchburg, the 2 brigades that were there to start with, were on an independent command and weren't part of Lee's chain of command, tasked with, of course, defending Lynchburg. But then Lee sends reinforcements with telling his commander, I want you to take control of the situation and, take control of the situation. And how did that go? How did that work for you guys?
Well, it kind of worked, I think. I don't know. I mean, when I arrived, I wrote letters to Dave and Prep. Yes, thank you. And then Joe was kind of like, okay, you're in command now, you wrote them. And I was like, oh, okay. Then I'll try my best. And then I met up with Dave, and I think we kind of came to a good agreement. I mean, I commanded his troops attack the enemy, and he wrote to the other guys and tried to organize our lines a bit.
Yeah.
And then when he called for reinforcements, I tried to come back, as you can see here.
Mm-hmm. Well, good. I'm glad you sorted that out. For me, I would have had the commander of Lynchburg run the defenses, since that person would be most familiar, I would think, when there was such a conflict. But
I think we kind of did that. But I mean, I gave Robin autonomy to do as he wished, while I was running around trying to gather information as to what was happening elsewhere, because we did have a little bit of a crisis when I thought Joe had advanced up the Lexington Turnpike, and then it dawned on me, only because I had people in my YouTube chat telling me, you know he's not up the Lexington Turnpike, right? He's down in Garland's Hill. You were told that, and I was just like, he's there? Oh my God, why is he just sitting there? So yeah. But we fixed that, and I think he made a fair decision, especially because we took 2 of his regiments over to in the Fairground Heights up there, which it worked out all right in the end, I think.
Yeah, and I'll admit a little bit of when I get this message from Robin after Dave had supposedly given them the plan on how we were going to defend it, because Dave and I had discussed beforehand. Then I get this message from Robin that says, "Hey, I'm in charge here." There was a little bit of like, whoa, wait a second. I thought Dave and I had a plan, but
I kind of thought, well, Lee told me to take command, so I at least have to send a message. I'm in command now.
Well, I was so far forward that I figured that I'll let Robin and Dave figure this out, and I'm just gonna kill the Yankees that get in front of me and let them have the intrigue in the rear.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, well, that was part of the test, was to see how both sides would handle a crisis of command. That was the Kriegsspiel, essentially. The battle is incidental.
As I see it in hindsight, if the 1st Brigade had moved instead into the town directly south, when I sent, I think, the first messenger, we would have swept the center. Absolutely zero problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, the point was
I didn't pass there because we were still hung up back at the redoubt when he had pushed through the Lexington redoubt, and he was already on his way down towards that hill where the Confederates are sitting on, south of the Blackwater Creek. So because of the delay coming across where in the center where the redoubt was, that hold up there, he actually got past us. So that one unit that he sent down, he had sent them down to chase off some Confederates, and that's where they were able to link up with us at Mrs. Tate's house.
I was hoping to see, from the map, where is the first redoubt, the first brigade caught, and then there's a road coming south through the woods.
It's over here.
That
right, exactly. But he was already
marching down there. Wow, we would have swept the center.
Yeah, the problem was I've already been over here when the message came that you were still fighting in this area.
And that's the beauty of Kriegsspiel. You send the messages and you are already out of position or beyond the position. Okay.
Well, I actually have, to me, one of my favorite moments running the messages on the Confederate side was, by happenstance, both Dave and Robin ended up in the South. So it was kind of convenient that the two guys that were trying to be command ended up next to each other. So they were able to quickly sort that out. So then what kind of happened was it felt to me like Dave was kind of stepping up as like a division commander and was stepping back to go check in with all the commanders. And so then Robin took over local control of both brigades down there. Well, he sent a courier to update Dave. And the last he knew, Dave had ridden off to the Clay House to interact with Treb.
Yep.
But by the time that courier got there, Dave had left and had now gone to Garland Hill. So now that courier arrives going, I've got a message for Dave. And Treb was like, well, Dave's not here.
Dave's not here, man.
So then it was so then he's like, okay, well, now what? So he's like, well, do you know where Dave went? He's like, well, I think he went off to Garland Hill. So the courier was like, okay, well, do you have an update? So he added a message, rides off to Garland Hill, gets to Garland Hill, shows up with Joe and says, I've got a message for Dave. And he's like, oh, Dave just left. He's like, well, where did Dave go? He went south. And so now the courier comes back a half an hour, 45 minutes after leaving, arriving from the place he left to find Dave and Robin right next to each other.
Great. Okay, Brett, we got to go through everybody here for the critique. So, Brett, what do you have to say?
Yeah, it was a really fun game, guys. I know. I just want to point out Damon. It was his first time running as an umpire, and to see him go from a nervous Nelly at the beginning to literally running the game by himself at the end was a great thing to see, Damon. Well done, mate.
Well
Thanks.
done.
Yeah, I definitely felt like being rowed out into a lake and tossed off the boat and said, "Okay, I see you on shore." It's like, wait, what? So so thank you, because like for the first half of the game, Bailey handled all of the Confederate orders, and I was just shadowing him and kind of doing messages. But then by the end, I felt comfortable enough to take over just the half I was supposed to have managed from the beginning.
That's why I dared you up. Yeah, good job. Okay, Alex or Bailey, were you done?
Yeah. I was just going to say one other notable thing for me was Dave. I really admired the balls on you to like drop your command and give it to Robin while you ran off. And one of the really noticeable things for me was how persistent you were in running up to Joe and saying, Joe, you may want to move a couple of regiments over to support, to watch Blackwater Creek. A lot of times people won't stay on the roads, they'll go off-road. And at that exact moment, unbeknownst to you, the Union commander had sent a regiment right on Blackwater Creek on the railroad track there. And they actually ran into each other at one point. It was very fun to see that type of stuff.
Yeah, thanks, man. That's really nice. That's really nice to hear. I mean, I know I was kind of running around like a blue-ass fly, and some people in the chat were saying you're panicking a bit. Just calm down. And but yeah, so no, I think it was a nice experience, and especially a real nice one being top dog for a bit. Yeah,
it's those moments of like, are these guys psychic? Are they able to see my map somehow? It's just you guys, I guess, play strategy games a hell of a lot, so you're wise to a lot of these moves,
Yeah. Okay, real quick, if any of you are live streaming this, feel free to drop your live stream link, at least into the Discord. I wouldn't mind checking out the recording later on your YouTubes.
Oh yeah, I'll definitely be doing that. I'll definitely be posting it.
Okay, Alex, go ahead. What do you got?
So, to play off what Bailey just said, I was actually talking to Marshall about this, and I think this is ironic. I think people who have the more experience people who have of war games who have never played Kriegsspiel before, the more cautious they end up being. Because I found the most aggressive players tend to be people who do not have much experience wargaming. They have an idea of how it should be, and so they're going to do something aggressive. Because, if you've played a lot of war games, you learn you can't be too aggressive because it bites you. Kriegsspiel, it's such a hard balance to make on when should I push, when should I press hard, when should I kind of be a little more cautious, because and everyone has their own style. I was saying Marshall and I are pretty aggressive, but some of the other people are a little more passive about it, which is fine. And it has to do with the fact that your opponent doesn't know anything either. It's something you always have to consider. So yeah, you're gonna push forward. Yeah, some bad things might happen, but I go well. The players stuff, how people played seemed pretty good. People were making wise decisions. People were mostly not given too complex orders. At least Yan and Mark mostly weren't. At least from what I could tell, they were being pretty broad stroke, which is where I think Kriegsspiel needs to go. I think you don't need to be giving like this micromanagement orders. You're trying to just paint a brush in a direction, because that's really realistically the only thing you could get them to do is point them somewhere. You can't really. It's difficult to do something more complex than that, because even in a professional army, and this isn't a professional army, this is the Civil War. So.
Okay, let's see here. Damon, do you have some comments? Any comments?
Well, I guess I would just say I want to apologize to some of my guys from my at the beginning when I was a little slightly. It took me a few tries to catch on to the flow of everything. So if I misdelivered any messages or missed them, then sorry. But I mean, it was a really good learning experience from my part, and yeah, I had a lot of fun. So hopefully it'll get easier.
All right. Dom, commentary. What do you got, Dom? Dom's muted. There he is.
I'm good. Yeah, it was a good game. Interesting. We had a bottleneck along the forest road at first, but then when Hethwill went off road and on that knob, things got moving. They seemed to be moving along pretty well. It was good movement in the middle, good cooperation between the two brigades in the middle, a lot of communication going back and forth between them, even though they had different umpires as well. So down in the south, Gabriel was doing good. He pushed along and he got up to the Mittering branch, and looks like he was getting close, and then he started to withdraw a little bit, and that's when the trap in the bottom in the south sort of was sprung. So he sort of withdrew at the right time and drew basically the bulk of two brigades down towards him, and then he retired, got pushed a bit, and then so yeah, he did a good job, and he's making some effort at the end here to go towards the east or where that's going to go. But yeah, it was pretty good. Running the messages, a lot of messages, and trying to keep track of them was a little difficult for me. Gabriel was sending messages up to 3rd Brigade, also to the Corps Commander, and then some of those messages Hethwill forwarded on to the Northern Commander. So it was despite not having a unified command, they did well. So that's all I got.
Actually, I would like to jump off on that real fast then. Yeah, just about the Union action there in the south pulling back. It was, I'll just say, super effective, because just look at where the Louisiana reinforcements showed up there. They were just coming onto the fairgrounds. Think about if they'd arrived one turn earlier or 2 turns earlier, because like the further south he went, the further south they went. And so if he'd have held more like at the on the cemetery, maybe those Louisianans would be in action up there in the center by now.
Yeah. So as an umpire, I was watching this and I was watching lines being drawn, Confederate lines being drawn and arrows. And it was like, he's doing exactly what he needs to do to get out of this trap, but he didn't know it. And it was like, wow, good. It was excellent timing, very fortuitous. So
Yeah. Wonderful. Okay, Mike, are you with us? Do you have anything? Mike's been fighting a cold. He's been fighting a battle of his own. And as men, we all know the man cold is.
And the cold rolled a 6.
Yep, the cold rolled a 6.
Marshall rolled that die.
Yep. If Mike pops back in, I'd like for him to share his thoughts, but he might be convalescing, which is fine. I do want to compliment Mike not only for doing a great job, but for showing up and helping out, even though he had a cold. It's very laudable that he did that, because having all these umpires really helped the game run smoothly. Okay, real quick, I do want to ask the players about the pace of the game, if you felt it was too fast, too slow, just right. So if you ever have a comment or want to comment on that, I'd be welcome to hear it. Otherwise, I'd like to kind of go through the list and let the players give their commentary, and then that'll be it for the day. We'll get you off to your next game on your dance card. I'll just go in alphabetical order. Dave, do you have anything to share?
I thought it was really enjoyable, but the timings were fine, and I have no criticism of that. The only funny thing I would say is, by 6:15 we were kind of already calling it Pump House's Lament, because I'd made so many mistakes off of the first couple of messages, and I know people in my chat were kind of saying, you need to be more precise, you need to be less wishy-washy, but that's more my self-criticism more than anything else. But no, it was a good game, guys. So I really enjoyed it.
Great. Okay, Gabriel.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think the timing interval was great. Like it was fast, but not so fast you felt overwhelmed. But definitely allowed you a little bit of time to think through things. Yeah, I mean, this is my first time actually doing this in the wild, if you will, and I thought it was fabulous. So I would love to do more of these games in the future for certain.
Good. Nobody got bored during the umpire processing time?
No, too busy panicking.
That's great. Okay, Hethwill, interested in what you have to say, sir.
Well, I must say that it was great. It was almost real time, and the time that you guys were processing the messages, I could feel and almost visualize the troops reforming and taking a knee. So all the pace was good, was perfect, dead on. Regarding the rest, well, I was very bold and then very hesitant. By the time I reached those woods and got scared by you have 8 regiments in front of you, like, Jesus.
I just wanted to make sure you were aware.
I got aware. Yeah, I mean, I send messengers to the south, and man, I received no word. So something is fishy down there. And actually, I didn't miss by much the area I was guessing you were fighting on. What else? I think everyone played great. All the messages were nice. Not extremely detailed, because that micromanagement doesn't really fit the game, really. So it was Alex that said the broad stroke. So the big maneuver, the grand tactical is what fits Kriegsspiel, and you guys umpired this beautifully.
They did, yeah.
Agreed.
Thank you. Okay, Jan, what do you have?
Yeah, I had great fun. What was awesome. I maybe would have wished a few more messages from the center. And one thing I was wondering about all the time, why Haswell didn't pass through this area over here and kind of go this way around.
I was also thinking that,
because
I was expecting it.
Yeah, because from the scenario briefing, I thought he was starting over here, but maybe that was just wrong information.
Well, and that's the funny part for me in the South, because I thought the exact same thing. That little pass through the woods there, I actually ended up pushing my cavalry through there, or trying to, just to get a look to see like where everybody was, because there was more of a gap than I realized. Because once I knew I had 2 brigades of the enemy in front of me along that wood line and that gully, I was like, okay, this is not the situation I want to be attacking into, but if I could try to draw those 2 brigades south and those folks were north more, like I was hoping we'd, make an opening, a door or something that people could push through. So I thought you were more immediately to my left than what you were, and it looks like you fooled everybody.
Well, that's interesting because I'm looking at my message history, because I've got every message. The first message I sent you with like a situation brief was at 7:10 game time, and I was surprised that Hethwell showed up at the rear of my column. I'm like, wait a minute, okay, that's interesting. And then it just happened to work out that we were able to coordinate what we were doing, at least in the center.
Yeah, because if you look at that orchard, draw a line across the southern edge of that orchard right in front of that remaining regiment I had. That's as far south as those brigades came. They'd opened the door all the way down to there. So
we should have pushed. Yeah.
Well, you didn't know, right? That's the problem.
Yeah, we didn't know exactly. Now I'm thinking, man, we delayed like 3 turns that we probably should have pushed.
And then there was the thing that the messages I got from Mark, they were, at least that's how I read them, very positive about the progress. Like, we're charging them now, we're pushing forward, keep on pushing in the north. And then sometime later, with quite some delay, I got, I think, 2 messages from Hethwell, like, push south immediately to hit their flank.
Yeah, we would crush them. I was sensing the victory. I just needed, brigade crushing their flank would be so sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, but from my perspective, we had it under control in the center, and that's why I was sending messages to you saying, push into the city as much as you could. And you were doing that. You sent a unit down to support us. You were engaging the guys on the hill to keep them occupied, and you were going in through the back door. Because in the center, I thought it was good, because we had no communications with 4th Brigade, so we didn't know what was going on. And actually, it would have been good if we hadn't had any information from them, because guess what? That unit in the center, north of the fairgrounds, probably wouldn't exist right now. But because a message came through from 4th Brigade to Hethwell, he got the, what now?
Yeah, so some of that was interesting, because when the messengers were able to get to Hethwell from 4th Brigade to 3rd Brigade, that message, the information was out of date. So we're pushing
I love that.
We're pushing them, and then he ran into 2 brigades. And then the 2 brigades came at him, but the message that was received were, we're having an easy time. And then the 2 brigades got halted and retired, and the message that was received was, I'm being pressed. So it was.
Yeah, I love that. I love that.
Because like the very first turn, the Confederates had just 1 regiment up at the southern redoubt. So it was at that time it was 1 brigade against 1 regiment. But then by the time you got the next one, it was 1 brigade against 2 brigades.
And then so the thing about the delay that you always want to keep in mind is that when you get a message like that, we are performing an attack, you have to ask yourself if it succeeded or not. Sometimes you just have to kind of press, hoping the best thing happened, and then sometimes.
I take that one on me that I stopped here. I should have continued pushing. The idea was like going around here along the river to pull out some forces from the center and then push in. So I was about to launch the assault, but that's probably too late.
I'm curious about I'm kind of curious about the Confederate perspective, because we've been hearing a lot from the Union guys. Like, Confederate-wise, how do you guys feel you did?
Well, I want to ask Joe, because he's on the Confederate side, and we've got a couple more Confederate players to speak up.
Okay.
So let's do that. So Joe, go ahead. What do you have?
Okay. You guys can hear me, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah. This is my first Kriegsspiel. I've played miniature games before, some board war games. This is a totally different experience. The lack of situational awareness has hit me a lot harder than I thought it would. I loved it. I definitely want to play more of these types of games. I think for my command with the 3rd Brigade, North Carolina, I had the advantage of coming on the board or into Lynchburg with Robin when we were co-located, and when we discussed his orders to me at that time, which was, I took to interpret to defend to the north of town. I then set up on Garland Hill, and set up a defensive position on Garland Hill. And early on, I sent out my cavalry regiment to scout up towards the redoubt because I had been hearing gunfire from that position. So they went up the pike and essentially ordered them to do a delaying action, and then return to me if they were under too much pressure. So that's kind of why I stuck where I was. Then when Dave came over, the whole question around who was in command came to the front, because Dave's telling me, hey, I need you to pull 2 regiments over to your left flank to, because these guys may be coming through the woods. And I was like, well, wait a minute. Robin just told me to hang tight here on Garland Hill. And he's like, yeah, but they may not be coming through. And I'm thinking, well, it doesn't quite conflict with my other orders, and I can see the wisdom in it, so I dispatched those 2 regiments. And and then everything else that I did was in reaction to intelligence that I had at the time. When I saw units moving to my right flank, that's when I dispatched my reserves over to the right flank. I didn't know anything was going on in the south, and I knew something was going on in the south, but I didn't know what our other units' disposition was. Like, I didn't know who was the Confederate commander, and that really messed me up because I was on the verge of pulling at least one of my regiments, or at least my cavalry regiment, which had finally been recalled to me, and moving it south to see what was going on down there. I did send a courier, but got nothing back. So I'm like, okay, something's going on down there. I don't know what it is. And I was going to pull that regiment, like I said, pull that cavalry regiment south. And that's when I got word that those 2 regiments, the infantry regiments, were engaged. So then I just said, okay, the fight's come to me, so I'm going to just stick where I am. I was pretty well gonna just hold Garland Ridge here if these 2 infantry regiments from the Union came down the pike, and we were just gonna have it out since I had the high ground. So but I probably would have got crushed from the south if they would have broken through. But yeah, I mean, it's amazing. I mean, it's amazing. It's a lot of fun, and a little bit of angst associated with all this. So thank you, umpires, for doing a great job. And
I think the umpires were very patient. I know, with my wishy-washy orders, sometimes they were just like, go on, be more accurate. But no, they were very patient. And, yeah.
There's nothing better as an umpire than going up to you guys and saying blah 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 blah, and you guys going, I really wish I knew where the other players were, and then this big pregnant pause opens up, and it's like, I'm not going to fucking tell you.
If only some magical fairy could tell me where.
Right? Only if I had God's eye view of my wargaming table.
The only clue I gave was like, you hear either lots of gunfire to the southwest, or you hear a couple little bits to your north or whatever, but that was the only clue I was trying to give.
That's it. That's how it works.
I would say, Joe, that I would commend you on recognizing how the Union was trying to push around towards the river there, and you happened to counter that just in time because their mission objective was to blow up the railroad depot, and your guy right there in the road was the one thing that stopped them actually from getting down there and blowing it up.
Yeah, it was a timely move.
No one has a game right now, right? Like
I'm kind of stepping into another game.
Do you want to cut in and speak up real quick, Treb? And
Yeah,
then
sure. Yeah.
go to your other game. Go ahead.
So first off, I appreciate the great work by the umpires and my team. Dave was helpful. This is I've done email Kriegsspiel over months and years with like Jim Orashevsky and stuff, and that's more of an operational thing. So this is the first time I've done a quote unquote live and more of a tactical one, and I absolutely loved it. I was Stonewall, kind of was the one that my brigade did get smashed eventually, holding the hill just past Clay. But it was great. I just really enjoyed it. I loved the message flow. The umpires, Bailey, whenever he popped in, he was very easy to work with. And I love you can get analysis paralysis when you're doing this. You can get a little scared because you don't know what's to my right, what's to my left. At one point, I pushed one of my regiments off to my right because I hadn't heard anything from my right, so I just knew that there was like 2 Union brigades about to smash into my right. That didn't happen. I got smashed in from the front. But it was great, and I hope to do more of these like this. It was lots of fun. Thanks.
Wonderful. Okay, let's see. Mark, what do you have?
Well, this is the first time I've done one of these, and it was quite enjoyable. The flow was really good. There was enough pause for the tension to build to figure out, okay, what's going on, what's where. About being aggressive, that's what I started off with. I charged 2 units at the redoubt, and then I got my nose bloodied pretty good. And so then at that point, I'm like, okay, there's another way of doing this. Let's deploy into skirmish line. Let's work through this rough terrain. Let's get the artillery deployed to put some fire on the redoubt. Hethwell did what he did over in the woods without me even saying anything. So it worked out really well. We were able to work through that situation at the redoubt along the forest road. And then once we punched through, then we were starting to roll, and things were going, and things were moving quite well. I still would like to know what happened to all those messages I sent to Gabrielle. Did they all get killed, or they never make it there, or they stop at the inn to get some beer and forget about the battle, or just trying to figure it out. But everyone else, I had good comms with Jan. He was way up north, and I knew what he was doing. Hethwell was right next door. He even rode over at one time, which was perfect. So I think it was really well umpired. The game was great. A lot of suspense and, how do I do this? Should I be aggressive? Should I be more cautious? Should I set everything up in line instead of going in half-baked? You have to make those decisions, and every time we got everything in line and ordered, we could flank, we could hold. At one point I was holding off attack so Hethwell could get into position, lay down some fire to, get some enfilade fire before I advanced. So we were working together in a coordination in the center, which worked really well. But...
So,
it was great.
The one message to Gabrielle, the one got lost in translation when I took over as umpire from Mike. I'm not going to blame him. I'll just say it's my fault. I just completely missed it. The second one was about the Reacham.
Okay, cool.
Just took a bit.
It happens. He just got killed. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, just say he got killed.
Just tell him it's a mystery.
It's fog of war.
It'll never
I've done
be
that.
solved. All right. And finally, last but not least, Robin, please, what do you have to share?
Yeah, it was my first time playing Kriegsspiel as well, and I think it's really, really entertaining and interesting. I kind of knew that there was an attack going on at the center, but I always just thought, if it's that big, they would say something.
You would hope, yeah.
He's surprised.
but at the same time, I thought, okay, maybe it's just kind of a one-on-one situation there, and some enemy elements are sneaking around in the southeast. So I had my scouts right there all the time, and then I finally thought, maybe there's nobody there, and we caught them.
There could have been though. So
yeah, they could, but I mean, the funniest thing is when I broke off when the courier of Dave arrived at my camp, telling me that he's taking his brigades back. I had pre-typed a message to him saying that I'm sending his brigades back and breaking off the attack. And then the courier came and I thought, okay, never mind. And what I can see here in Korea telling that he's needing his artillery back. And just one turn before, I sent the artillery back to him. So it was kind of funny to see what happened, and sometimes what you don't know, because had I known that they are facing this much enemies there in the center, I had broken off the attack sooner. But yeah, that's the game.
All right. Well, I would like to thank everyone for being here, most especially my umpire staff who made this game possible. I could not have pulled off such a successful event without all of my umpires' help. So I really want to thank you for that. I especially want to thank Damon, who put together this whole module for us, this whole beautiful module. He put together, he had the pieces made. He made a lot of the pieces himself, in fact. He put this whole map together. You just did a beautiful, wonderful job, so I'm eternally grateful for you, Damon. Brett, I'm grateful for you holding down, anchoring the umpire team. Alex, I'm grateful for you coming in and sharing your expertise and just stepping right into it. Dom, I really appreciate you coming in and bringing some Civil War expertise as you always do. I'm able to bounce questions off you, like how many cartridges did they carry and things like that. And it was great to see you roll some dice and resolve some combats there at the end. And Mike, of course, I was really excited to have you here. I do hope you get in and play a game sometime real soon. So I want to thank you all. It was good to meet all of you. And we'll be putting on more games. International Kriegsspiel Society, Kriegsspiel.org. We're going to be doing a big Gettysburg game in a couple months or so. We're also going to be doing a campaign, the Shenandoah campaign, and the losses that you take in one battle will carry over. So all of that, a lot of cool stuff. We'll also be having a lot of smaller battles between now and then. So if you just want to pick up a game on a Saturday, that's typically when we play, and that's the time to do it. So yeah, I want to thank you all for being here, invite you all to join the International Kriegsspiel Society. There's no membership requirements or anything. You just got to show up and you're in. That's kind of all I have to say.
You do have to sign a contract in blood.
Yeah, there's that.
Whose blood?
We don't tell them about that until the end.
Yeah, it's not hazing if you're already in.
Yeah.
It's Brett's sake.
Thank you, players. You made it really enjoyable to Empire with everyone. Thank you. It's really nice meeting everyone.
Yes,
thank you.
Thanks for all the work.
There's always a lot of laughter.
Yeah.
There is.
As we're moving the pieces. Oh my god.
Part of umpiring for me, and I think it too, but it's always funnier when I describe something and Marshall's watching and he goes, "Wow." He goes, "They're doing that? Wow."
All right. For those of you watching on the live stream, I'd like to say thank you for being here and watching the live stream. I hope it recorded my sound this time. And again, feel free to share your community. If you are a YouTube gamer and you would like to join the Influencers Invitational, send me a note. I don't quite have a date set for that event, but I want to get all of you YouTube fellas and Wargame fellas, enthusiasts, around one map and have you play against each other. I think it'll be a real blast. So I'm going to end the stream now, but I want to thank you all for being here. And I want to thank those of you in the future who watch all of this. I hope it's an enlightening experience. And again, join up and play games. Thank you all. I'm ending the stream. Take care.
See you later, guys. Thanks for playing.
Cheers.
Thanks a lot.
Cheers.
Thanks.
When Johnny comes marching home again, hurrah, hurrah, we'll give him a hearty welcome then, hurrah, hurrah. Oh, the men will cheer, the boys will shout, the ladies they will all turn out and we'll all feel gay. When Johnny comes marching home, and we'll all feel gay. When Johnny comes marching home.
So just quickly back to my view here of the end situation. Turned out I've still been here and that this regiment has been moving over here together with the cavalry there. So quite interesting game. I had a hell of a lot of fun. If you haven't tried Kriegsspiel yet, I highly recommend you do that. Join the International Kriegsspiel Society or check out Armchair Dragoons forums. Jim is hosting Kriegsspiels regularly there and all that kind of stuff. And as I said, they can be played by email, so less stressful maybe than a 6-hour marathon session of Kriegsspiel during a online convention. But I found it quite convenient using the tabletop simulator for this. You could have used just a picture of the map, plain map, and a graphics program to push some units around or write or scribble something down. Thanks to the other players, I should say, for this awesome game, for the nice cooperation. Although the messages I got from Mark and from Nuno were somewhat, not in the same vein. But anyway, this was great fun. Thanks a lot to the umpires, especially Marshall as the head umpire, so to say, and all the others who kept the game running. As I said, check out the International Kriegsspiel Society. You can find them on the web at kriegsspiel.org. There should also be a link to Discord server. And I hope you enjoyed this video. See you soon.